I first, signed a contract to come to WWE, he was on top of that list of people I wanted to work with, and just I knew would elevate me. And it's kind of like you have to prove yourself and your worth to being in the match with that guy. And that's a sink or swim situation. If you can't go with him, and if you don't have a good showing, you don't belong here. So for me, like, that's the guy, and I would love for him to be the next member of the Judgment Day.
This is a special presentation for the Bleav in Pro Wrestling podcast. Here's Rick Ucchino on the Bleav Podcast Network.
What is going on, you guys? Rick Ucchino here, Bleav Podcast Network, SB Nation, Hell in a Cell this Sunday. That means it is time for you. Yes, all of you, whether you're watching at home, listening to this podcast, wherever podcasts are available, it is time for you to rise and pay your respects to the Judgment Day. Damian Priest, my guest at this time. Always great to catch up with you, good sir. How you doing, man?
I'm great, man. What's going on?
Living the dream, not as much as you. I'd say, I guess my first question is, anything interesting happening lately in your life? Like getting to team up and partner with one of those guys you idolized, when you got into the business. Anything cool like that happen recently?
Yeah, I guess, there's this thing I got going on with an idol of mine and one of my best friends, and we're just tearing it up every Monday night on Raw. Just that.
Yeah, exactly. Just that. Been on board with Judgment Day since the get-go. I've always thought it would be really cool if Edge was able to kind of like lead this stable of stars. And I was so damn excited when I saw you show up in Dallas at WrestleMania and stand alongside Edge. And it's been great to kind of watch this evolve over the last few weeks. And, I Bleav that I read that Edge was the one that approached you and asked you to kind of partner up and team up. What was that moment like for you? Just kind of walk me through, that whole process. That'd be like Dan Patrick coming to me and saying, "Hey, you want to do a radio show?"
Exactly. Hey, well, he called me, and again, like, it's Edge, like, so my phone says his name, and I'm like, oh man, then it's like, hello, how are you? And he's just like, hey, so I got this idea, and and like, what do you think? And I'm like, what? Why are you asking me? Like, tell me what to do. No, it was super cool, and like, I didn't even know how to answer yes the best way. You know what I mean? Like, how can I really portray how excited I am? But it's one of those, like, but I don't want to come off looking silly, so I'm just like, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. Oh man, but it's the coolest thing when someone like Edge calling me to ask me if I think, like, if I'm interested. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't even have to ask, but he did because he's cool. And the fact that he thought of me is wild to me. Like, that he was like, yeah, you're naturally, I thought of you. And I'm like, naturally? I don't even know why I'm so lucky, but cool, it's Edge. So it was a great feeling and moment to receive that call.
I mean, that's got to mean that you've done something right? I mean, obviously, like, if he's the guy who's reaching and he says naturally, that means obviously he saw something in you. He appreciated what he saw, maybe some potential, for you and that you guys as a collaboration. So I mean, that had to be, not only like a great moment to get that phone call, but also kind of like a vindicating phone call. Like, you're on the right path. You're hitting a home run out there.
Yeah. And again, to your point, yes, it felt like a stamp of approval, clearly, he saw something that he can work with and guide and mold, because he's very much that. He's very much one of those that I'm picking his brain on a regular basis, and he's giving me advice and helping me and realistically helping me become a bigger star.
Is it getting easier to, kind of collaborate with him? And I mean that in the sense of like, offering ideas and, getting his honest thoughts on things, or when he asks you for opinions on things. Cause I saw your conversation with NBC Boston, right? Where you're talking about very similar to what you just told me. Is like, holy crap, it's Edge, it's Colin. He's like, yeah, man, whatever you say, like, let's go. Has that dynamic changed at all as this has progressed the last few weeks?
No. If anything, we talk a lot more, almost on a daily basis. Even if it's through just a simple text or something, but we communicate a lot. We go over stuff, ideas back and forth, where even he's like, hey, I want to run something by you. just so that he could get a second opinion or third opinion, because depending who he's spoken to, which is pretty cool. And I'll just give him mine. Doesn't mean that he's going to take my opinion. He just wants to hear something. And it is also, I like it. And I think he's doing it as well to help me through the process, so I could get used to this process and like, oh, okay, so this is the way you think. And maybe I can learn from that. And I know that it's all a learning experience, for me. So he's helping me a lot with that. So he's giving me these opportunities to pitch in and give ideas, but I think it's more so a teaching, that he's still teaching me while having me give my opinion, because he wants me to, be more vocal and whatnot. So, yeah, it's great. Like I said, we communicate, and I usually have like a million questions every week, and he's cool about receiving them and answering every single one.
Obviously, you never want to count like your chickens before they hatch, especially in WWE, right? But you look at the potential of you guys as a tag team, but then you bring in Rhea Ripley, and then you guys are talking about adding new members, every single week, which we'll get into that coming up here in a little bit. But it's like, I see the potential. So many people see the potential of where this group could go and what they could succeed. Is that something that crosses your mind very often, or you try to put that kind of stuff, out of your mind and just take it kind of like a week by week basis?
I mean, I'd be lying if I said, it doesn't come up, like I don't think about it. Of course, it's impossible not to, because the possibilities are crazy,
Yes.
First of all, it's Edge. So, it's a big deal. He's involved with it. He's a main eventer. He's, battle tested superstar, right? So no matter what we do, it has to be a big deal on the show because he's involved with it. So the potential for us to just run with this and have so much success is there. Now it's on us, right, to deliver. And when I mean us, I'm talking about like Rhea and I, because Edge is going to be Edge tomorrow, like he was yesterday. For us, we are the ones that we have to prove ourselves, and I think so far so good. And it's just a matter of us keeping up that momentum. But yeah, we think about it all the time, like the possibilities of how this is going to elevate us. And we're, Rhea and I talk and we joke because we're really good friends. So we always think about like, man, this is really cool. And we'll laugh about it in the back and, and like so happy about it, because we always used to talk about it since NXT. We used to always talk about it like, what if we ever teamed and did something together? It'd be cool, because like again, we're like close friends. And then now we get to do it, but with Edge, and it's all exciting and it's really cool. So we're very much looking forward to what can come to fruition,
Yeah, and Edge obviously loves to have the fun with all the people who are speculating. He's throwing out on Twitter, he's chucking out names on social media and in promos and everything like that. But adding Rhea Ripley to this group was such a no-brainer, right? I mean, she just fits in so well with you guys. There's a great dynamic there. Obviously, you guys are close behind the scenes. I was going to bring that up as something that's been well documented, but you brought it up there anyway. Just like, how long did you know that she was coming in before she took off that hood at WrestleMania Backlash? Because like everybody was throwing her name out there for like weeks and weeks and weeks, and then it actually comes to fruition. How long did you know that this was a possibility, that this was going to be something that was going to be going down, that you'd finally get to work with her?
The day Edge told me and asked me about the Judgment Day idea, and this is before we even had a name, it was just an idea of forming a group that day, because he said naturally he goes, and Rhea Ripley. Like we were on it. We were the first on his list, like hands down. Like he wanted us to be with him, which I thought was super cool, and he was like, he saw two people that had a certain style that he digs, similar to Edge. I mean, it's that rock star-ish, goth, darker vibe, and bigger people. And like we just have a lot of similarities that he felt like he could mold us into becoming bigger stars than we were. And again, for me, obviously with our friendship, I was super excited to know that was the idea. Now, was it going to be 100%, a thing that we didn't know to the day, that you never know. Things could always change, right? Even including me, being by his side at WrestleMania, like that was what we hoped for, but you never know, creative could change. A lot of things can change in between, especially when there's a lot of time. So we knew we wanted Rhea from the get-go, or Edge wanted her. And of course I'm down for that.
All for it,
And then it just became like, okay, this seems like it's really going to happen. And then, we talked, and then finally it was like, all right, let's pull this trigger. And I was so excited about it. I probably was just as excited as Rhea was, for her to be a part of this, just because I was so happy for her, So it was known for a while, at least on Edge and I's viewpoint, like since the beginning, we knew, or at least we wanted her to be a part of us.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's that thing with WWE where you guys, obviously that would have to be the recruiting process, right? You guys can make all the suggestions in the world that you would want, and then you got to hope that people sign off on that. So it's really cool that was able to come to fruition, that you guys have this three-headed dragon now. And now, something that you and Rhea have been wanting to do, teaming up with one another, working with one another. Now we look toward Hell in a Cell. You got this big 6-person intergender tag team match coming up, and that's going to be absolutely insane, with Finn Balor and AJ Styles involved, and Liv Morgan, who continues to get better and better every week. I mean, this match is going to be fire on Sunday.
That's the plan. We know the difficulties that comes with a match like this, but this is what we live for, these moments. And this is not that it's never happened before, but in modern day WWE, and you take that, but it's more so the story that we've been telling, the feud, it's like a perfect storm for this, so we're looking to knock it out of the park and put on a killer performance and making it something that's going to be talked about the day after, the year after. Like, that's the plan. That's what we're all going for, is everybody, all 6 people in this match are looking to hit home runs. And we're all capable of it. It's just a matter of all just doing it at the same time, in the same night, in the same match. And like I would say, and I don't want to speak for everybody else, but everybody's really excited about this match.
Yeah, I'm looking for. I was kind of hoping it would be inside Hell in a Cell. Like, is that something that you were hoping for? Is that something you want to cross off your bucket list?
Secretly, yeah. I first of all, I've never had a match inside of Hell in a Cell, so I've been wanting one of those anyway. And then when the idea of this is a possibility, because we didn't know if this was going to be a thing, but when obviously when we're feuding, it's kind of like, wait. Like, we can make this a match. Wait, Hell in a Cell's coming up. I mean, we're feuding. I mean, so you're saying there's a chance, like
nice.
Inside Hell in a Cell. So I guess internally, I was hoping for that, but this doesn't make it any less special. This is going to be awesome. And like I said, we're going to knock it out of the park.
If there was this might be a hard question to answer. It might be an easy one. If there was a favorite Hell in a Cell match of yours, because there's been so many classics, right? Which one would you be? Is there one that, like, it would be easy to say Taker Foley, right? It's hard to go against Taker Foley, but is there one that stands out for you? I
think that's the best representation of somebody willing to do whatever for this business, and 2 people, obviously both of them. And that was a brutal match. But I would go with the first one, Taker Shawn. It's probably still my favorite, just because, again, it was also the story that went into the match before the match, and then them doing throwbacks, whether it was the chair shot, because of the chair shot from when Shawn was the referee in Taker versus Brett, and like that match to me, and then obviously the debut of Kane. That's my all-time favorite Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah, I think it's so hard to beat the original for a lot of different ones. I think everybody will look back to the moment that Foley gets tossed off the cage, and that's like probably the most iconic moment. But I think there's maybe a lot of people who are even my age who forget that wasn't the first ever Hell in a Cell match. It was actually the third ever one. And now we've had so many, and there's its own pay-per-view named after for a reason, because it's such an iconic structure. And I'm honestly looking forward to Cody and Seth. I think those guys are gonna tear it down on Sunday as well. I did want to get back to Judgment Day here real quick, because there's been kind of like a theme, right? The last few premium live events. Here's a new member. Things are rolling around. So now we got this big match on Sunday. This is kind of low hanging fruit. I'm sure you've had this question a billion times today, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If you could pick anybody on the roster as a 4th member, who would Damian Priest choose? Who would you want to see stand next to you guys? Raising your arms in the air like Hydra.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to just pick one person. I mean, we're talking about anybody, but I think Edge himself has made mention to it. AJ Styles. We need him to come over to the other side. I mean, stop fighting against and fight with. Fight alongside. Like, AJ Styles has always been, like, when I first signed a contract to come to WWE. He was on top of that list of people I wanted to work with, and just I knew would elevate me. And it's kind of like you have to prove yourself and your worth of being in the match with that guy. And that's a sink or swim situation. If you can't go with him, and if you don't have a good showing, you don't belong here. So for me, like, that's the guy, and I would love for him to be the next member of the Judgment Day.
So, I mean, this has been a banner year for you. You're getting to team up with Edge. You're getting to wrestle AJ Styles. I mean, what else could you ask for? Maybe winning the tag team championships with Edge. That'd be like Edge and Hogan, right? Winning the tag team titles. That'd be kind of a similar situation for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, does that mean that, like, technically through association, like, I was in a tag team with Hogan?
Sure, that's how it works.
That's how that works, right?
That's absolutely how that works, man. All right, well, good luck this Sunday. Good luck moving forward with the Judgment Day. Keep scaring the crap out of the audiences when you scream "All Rise." That was absolutely hilarious. The first time that you did that, you actually had people like jumping out of their seats in the audience.
Yeah, it's as soon as I saw that happen, I was like, "Oh, I'm keeping this one."
Have you ever, with those golden tones of yours, have you ever like legitimately like scared somebody like outside the wrestling ring or in public or anything like that with that loud, boisterous voice that you have? Is there any kind of fun?
Yeah, many times. It happens quite often, actually, where I'll yell at somebody for something, and somebody else by accident, jumps and something happens. It happens quite often, actually.
As a radio guy for the last 13 years, I'm jealous of those pipes, man. But good luck moving forward, and we'll talk again down the line, sir.
Much appreciated. Thanks.